Have you been struggling with some level of stiffness, soreness, achiness, pain, and you're concerned that you might need to go see your physician, or you might have to get imaging, x-rays, MRIs, you're not sure exactly what to do? If that's the case and you've been struggling with some pain for quite some time, I'm really happy that you're here because I have a valuable tool for you today. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about have you been concerned or struggling with some level of ache, soreness, pain, or stiffness, and your concern is basically have you been concerned about some sort of ache, soreness, pain, stiffness that might be going on for quite some time, and on top of it, you're thinking that you might need to go see your doctor or get some imaging such as an x-ray or an MRI done on that area in order to figure out what's going on? Have you been concerned about some sort of pain, stiffness, achiness, soreness that's been going on for quite some time, and on top of it, you think you need to go see your physician or your doctor to get an MRI or an image? Have you been concerned or struggling with any level of pain, stiffness, soreness, achiness, and on top of it, you think that you need to probably go see your physician, get some imaging done, such as an x-ray or an MRI, and your concern at this point is what to do about that and if you should go get it seen? And if so, I want to talk to you a little bit about a different method that might be useful to you and how many people are utilizing this method and getting themselves out of pain faster with more relief quicker without having to go through this long process and a little bit of an expensive process on top of it. So I'm glad that you're here. I want to talk to you more in detail. What I'm going to do today is I have a nice whiteboard ready for you right here. We're going to be talking all about these levels of what the old method was and what everybody is doing now versus kind of this old approach. So stick with me right now. Let's get training all about how this is going to happen for you more successfully and get you out of faster relief right now. Are you concerned about some level of Have you been struggling with some level of soreness, achiness, stiffness, pain perhaps even too? And if so, are you thinking that you need to go see a physician or your doctor in order to get an MRI or an x-ray? And if that's you, I'm so glad that you're here today because I'm going to be teaching you about a new method, a different approach instead of the old approach that a lot of people are utilizing to find themselves get out of pain much quicker with better results on top of it. So hang with me. What's going to happen is I have a whiteboard right here on my desk. I'm going to be teaching you this old method and bring to you the forefront of what the new method looks like so you can find yourself getting quicker relief out of that pain that you're struggling with right now and get yourself back into being active. Have you been struggling with some level of pain, stiffness, soreness, achiness, and on top of it, you're concerned that you might need to go see your physician at this point? You might need some imaging such as an MRI or an x-ray in order to understand what's been going on, and at the same time, not knowing if that is the right thing. Because if that's you, then I'm so glad you're here because we're going to be talking about this old approach that a lot of people have been utilizing previously, and now people have found a new approach that's getting them faster results, quicker out of relief, back to activity, doing everything that they want to do once again without having to go through this long process. So I'm going to be teaching you today right here on this table, which is our whiteboard. I'm going to show you the old method, and on top of it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the new method and how you can get faster results so you can get back to being the active, energized, loving person that you currently are without having pain. God damn it, you had it. you someone who's struggling with a little bit of soreness, stiffness, achiness, having some concerns about pain perhaps, and on top of it, you think that you might need to go see your physician or your doctor and see if they can give you an MRI or an imaging from an x-ray so you can know exactly what's going on? If that's you, I'm so glad that you're here, because we're going to be talking more about this old approach versus this new approach where many people take so long to get results, and instead now that with this new approach, people are getting faster out of pain, getting back to being active much quicker, and on top of it, much cheaper on top of it. So less expensive. And if you're looking for something like that, I'm so glad that you're here, because I'm going to be teaching you this old approach versus a new approach right here on this table, which is the whiteboard, and we're going to be telling you all about how that new approach can get you better results, faster results, cheaper results, and on top of it, just get you back to the active lifestyle that you want. So hang tight with me. We're going to be doing some teaching right here on this whiteboard, and I'm going to tell you about the old method right now. All right, guys, here we go. So this is the old approach. Typically, like I told you, a lot of people when they were having pain, right? So let's say we just have somebody who has general knee pain. Now, I'm not an artist, you're in luck, right? But I do know how to make some little symbols here. So let's say you just started having knee pain, for example, here, right? And on top of it, it's been going on for quite some time. So you kind of know you've been waiting, and you're actually just waiting to see if this goes away. But you don't know if it's going to go away, and at this point, it really hasn't. So it's probably been, what, maybe 3 or 4 weeks where you've been dealing with this pain, and it might even be months for other people at this point. So a lot of people experience a pain episode, and from there, take time to just see if it will heal on its own. That's pretty typical for a lot of people. You might be using some heat packs, cold packs, doing some stuff on your own at this point. But let's say it doesn't get better. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll end up going to their primary care physician, or you can just call that your primary doctor, right? So a lot of people end up going over there, they'll call them up, they'll want to do a phone call, and they'll say, you know, I think I need to get in. I've been having a lot of knee pain recently, and I don't know what's going on, and I need somebody to help me understand what is going on and what I need to do about this knee pain. So typically people go to their primary care physician or their doctor, and they say, you know what, I've got some pills that you can take. I've got some stuff that you can just start right now. So they start giving you some pills in a bottle, right? Or they might even say, you know what, you need to probably go see a specialist on top of it. So at least you've got something to coat the pain right now. And then they say, you've got to go see a specialist. So, and somebody who knows about knee pain more than I do. So then they send you off to a specialist who's another physician, right? Which is great. And that typically, I really like this symbol because that helps me understand this is the specialist versus the primary care. But that typically can take, what, a lot of people even tell us, this might even take somewhere greater than 30 days, right? To actually get an appointment made with a specialist and be able to show up. So typically what that is like, it takes so much time, and when you get in with that specialist, we know that you get probably about 8 to 10 minutes at most to talk to these doctors because they're just so busy, right? And that's part of the problem as well, is 8 to 10 minutes off of that, and your PCP said, just go over here, they'll know exactly what to do. So, and they do, they're awesome, right? Specialists are fantastic. And then from there, your specialist might then say, hey, you know what you need? You actually need an MRI. So, put a little donut in here, draw that. So here's the big MRI tube that you find yourself in, right? So they say you need some imaging or you need an x-ray, right? I need to know what's going on inside of that. And so you start heading towards grabbing an MRI, and on top of it, then after the MRI, guess what? You gotta go back, right? You either have to go back to your specialist, which definitely has to happen if that's your choice after the MRI, right? And then they're gonna read off your results of what they found in this MRI, right? From that, in a general sense. And on top of it, they might then suggest, okay, well, we can either continue to do some sort of pain pills or painkillers, right? If I could write here, there we go. or we want you to maybe try an injection, get a lot of people that get that, or surgery is kind of your only option. So they offer those three things typically, right? And you're going, boy, I don't want to be on painkillers. That is something I definitely don't want to do. And I don't want to go through an injection. I've done those before and they're pretty painful. Or I'd be willing to try one and see how that goes, maybe, perhaps. Or you're just not a needle type of person like me. Or I really don't want to do surgery. So those are kind of my three options from that point. Then your physician says, or, right? So let's say surgery's off the table right now. But they say, you know what, you need to actually just go, finally, they give you the prescription, they go, you need to go see a physical therapist. That is exactly what you need to do. Here's your prescription, go see a physical therapist, right? And so those are kind of how the normal route goes. And on top of it, I missed a little bit of time frame here. So from that to your specialist, we're talking about probably typically for most people 2 to 3 weeks of a wait time. Specialist tells you to go get a physical therapy appointment. That doesn't take as long, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So if I add up the total time of this whole, hey, I've got pain, all the way to, hey, here's your solution, go get physical therapy, roughly, guys, 4 weeks, 30 days. We got, I don't know why that says 8 minutes, but this is actually a little bit more like a week here to actually get into the MRI. 2 to 3 weeks and another 1 to 2. We're talking about roughly 3.5 months, right? At the most, 3.5 months to finally get to where you need to go, right? Now, here's what everybody else is doing. Here's the new approach, guys. Very, very simple. One line needs to be drawn in this. You don't have to go through this whole entire approach. All you have to do on the new approach, all you have to do, guys, call your physical therapist. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Now, why does that matter? Because they did a study recently and they said people who had MRIs ended up spending $4,793 more overall when you got an MRI. So how did I say that was going to be cheaper, right? Avoiding or not having to have an MRI is cheaper than just literally going, or sorry, this is cheaper than literally having the MRI. Well, then you go, okay, Brooke, that's fair. But ultimately, what does that mean for me in a sense of if I think I need an MRI or an X-ray? So let's talk a little bit about that on top of it. So here you have, guys, a slide that is talking all about how you are not your image. And I want to tell you a little bit about this. These are 2 different studies I'm going to show you on this slide, and I've got another one for you on top of it. I think that these are pretty valuable for you to understand as far as, let's just even fine tune and pick out the knee here, right? So I'm going to circle this box with my mouse. You can kind of see that happening. I'm going to go over this study really quick, talk about those results so you can understand them, nerd out for just 1 second, but it's kind of fun to even just think about, and I'm going to challenge your thinking more than likely. So inside of this study, what they did was they took roughly about 5,400 people, rounding up here, guys, because easy numbers, right? So 5,400 people, knee issues, So here we go, guys. You are not your image, right? So that's how this slide starts off. We're going to talk a little bit about imaging. Specifically, we're going to talk more about knees and back because that's kind of primarily where I get most of people's complaints at this point. So let's talk about this study. I'm going to nerd out for a second, and it's going to be fun at the same time, I promise. So let's take a look at this awkward skeleton posed on the side for some reason. But we're going to take a look at knees, right? So we've got this study that came out a few years back, pretty great study that I adore. 5,400 people looking at their knees. They divided them by age, so if you're greater than 40, if you're less than 40, you gotta kind of split the age group right there. So we're just looking at a little bit of age of 5,400 people. And on top of it, they wanted to see what was inside of that imaging as they were kind of looking into those images, right? So of those people, of those 5,400 people that were greater than 40 years old, they had a likelihood, it was about 19 to 43% of those 54, oh my God. So all right guys, we're going to take a look at this slide here really quick. I've got an image up here and we're going to go through a little bit of some research because I love nerding out, but I swear we're going to have fun while we do that. I mean, you can see the skeleton pose right here. It's going to be a great time. So specifically, I want to talk about this box right here that I've highlighted. This is talking all about knees. This was a systematic review that was done just a few years back, not too long ago. Really great study. I adore it. 5,400 people, I like rounding up, it's easier than saying the other numbers. So 5,400 knees they looked at imaging wise with MRIs and different resources such as that. Okay, got this. So here we go guys. You are not your image, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. Now you might be going, Brooke, I don't know if I can think about this, but hey, bear with me here because I'm gonna nerd out for just 1 second. I want you to think a little bit different. I'm gonna expand your horizons on thinking here just for a second on how you might not need an image and what that means for you. So these were people, this was a study done back in 2018, just not too long ago. Systematic review, which is a great study, 5,400 knees that they looked at in imaging. And then they took the people and they divided them, like you can see, greater than 40 years old and less than 40 years old. So whatever you hit on that age, I just want you to think about yourself, what category you fit in as I talk about this. Now, what they wanted to see was what was happening inside of these images. What was going on when they found a prevalence of anything going on. So the most common things that people complain about, arthritic changes, arthritis, or meniscus tears. These are pretty much the most common things that people tell us about. So they took a look into this, and let's say OA, just so you know, that's osteoarthritis. So arthritic changes, let's take a peek into that. So if you're greater than 40 years old in this study, 5,400 people, 19 to 43% of them had some level of osteoarthritic changes, right? That's pretty prevalent, that's pretty high. Little less than 50% for the highest capacity of these 5,400 people. And if you're less than 40 years old, you have they saw a 4 to 14% chance of these 5,400 people, of them had osteoarthritic changes as well. Cartilage defects, 43%. That's again a pretty high statistic when you're greater than 40 years old. 43% of them, of this 5,400 people, had cartilage defects. 10% if you're even younger than 40 years old. So we see arthritic changes happening even at the age of 40 or less than the age of 40, which is fascinating. Now, one of the biggest ones that we get talking about is meniscal tears with a lot of people. I'm gonna round this up just because it's easy for me. 20% of 5,400 people of this study had meniscal tears. Okay, that's cool, that's great, Brooke, cool study, but what does this all mean? Here's the kicker about this study. All of these changes that were happening in the knee that they saw, these were people with no symptoms. Absolutely no knee complaints, concerns, worries whatsoever. No symptoms, and people were having these changes on their images. Another study, just to validate it again, I think a lot of people are starting to like these studies a little bit more. They took 90 people with frequent knee symptoms. So we're talking about pain, aching, stiffness, that sort of thing that I talked to you guys about earlier, right? Maybe you're dealing with that specifically in your knee, but they took them and they wanted to see in their image as well what was the prevalence of a meniscus tear. And they went in there and it was 63%. So 57 out of the 90 people who were having knee symptoms had a meniscal tear on their MRI. Well, then they said, okay, well, let's take a peek at people without any knee symptoms. So there they found 77 people, 77 subjects, and they wanted to know what was the prevalence of a meniscal tear on an MRI. Guys, 60% still had it without having any knee symptoms. 46 out of 77 of them had that. That's pretty big, right? And now let's even go to back, and then I'll tell you how this all comes together. So they did another study. This was a few years back too, and they did they had a study of over 3,000 people in this one. And it's same idea. We're going to split them up by age category here. So you got people in your 20s, your 30s, 40s, keep going all the way to your 80s. Split them up by an age group of 3,000 people. Again, a big study here. What was the prevalence of them having disc degeneration? What was the prevalence of them having a disc bulge? I'm going to name some things that typically you know. A disc protrusion you might have heard of, right? Or facet degeneration. I like to think of degeneration as breakdown, right? Changes. Those are kind of big signs of arthritic changes, right? So if you're, let's just go straight down the line at the age of 50. If you're in the 50 to 60 category, you have an 80% chance that you're already having disc degeneration or breakdown of the disc in your spine. You also have a 60% chance that you have a disc bulge in this study. That's what I'm talking about, right? And on top of it, degeneration of a facet, which is kind of the joint in your spine where your spine bones or your vertebra, if you would, connect to each other. 32% chance that you have arthritic changes happening there, right? So this again was a study of 3,000 people plus, and on top of it, no symptoms. Again, asymptomatic is the key word, no symptoms. So, and it keeps going up. Look, disc degeneration at your age of 60, 88%, 93% chance, 96% chance at 82. And so we're talking about these changes, and you can see how they incrementally keep growing. Now, it's the same idea in this one, right? It begs the question between all three of these studies and many, many more that they've done. This is just an example that we might just have some wrinkles on the inside. As much as we age on the outside, you start to see skin changes. As we grow older, we start to get these lovely wrinkles on our face. But when you smile, right? When you smile, they don't hurt. And I think that's the key thing is when we talk about wrinkles on the outside, we probably have some wrinkles on the inside. And that's what these studies are typically telling us is that we don't necessarily have to have pain when we have these associated findings on our images, our x-rays and our MRIs. So I've probably challenged your thinking a little bit here. The old approach, like I said, takes 3 to 3.5 months to even just get to physical therapy and give it a shot, right? Versus the new approach is just on your terms, as quick and as easy as you want it to be in a sense. One of the things that we do for a lot of people is we ask people to just tell us their story first. We want to understand if we're able to help you the way that you want to be helped, and if we're the ones who can do that, and if not, we'll get you to the next best place. But the first place that everybody starts is just by booking a call with one of our amazing team members. We just want to have a conversation with you. If you're struggling with some sort of level of pain, ache, stiffness, soreness, and you want to get down to the nitty-gritty, maybe you've tried this old approach and it didn't go as well for you. Maybe you're done with the old approach, you're ready to kind of kick it out of the window. You want to go the new way, you want quicker results, you want to make sure that you can do it on your terms, you want to get quicker relief, you want to get back to being the active, energized, robust person that you used to be. Then an easy way to do that is just book a call with us. Tell us what has been going on with you. Tell us how long you've been struggling with it. We have seen so many people from 5 to 15 years of pain. We've seen people with just weeks of pain too, helping them get back to the active lifestyle that they want. So if that's you and you're looking to kick the old approach out of the window at this time, you want to do the new approach, which is basically just head to a physical therapist on your own terms, you're welcome to do that, and you're welcome to book a call with one of our amazing team members even just today. So if you're looking for that help, book your call. Otherwise, I will be chatting with you soon. Take care.